Abrajajaharanjana
Yashodanandan Brajajaharanjana
Yashodanandana Brajajaharanjana
Samunatira Vanachari
Yamunatira
Yamunatira Vanachari
Yamunatira
Tarshat Shishimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Paravaja Kacharya Tarshat Shishimad Divine Grace Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Gosha Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Radha Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Krishna Giri Govardhan Ki Vrindavan Ki Navrit Maya Pudam Ki Jagannath Puram Ki Gangamaya Ki Yamunamaya Ki Tulasi Devi ki, Bhakti Devi ki, Samaveda Bhakti Vrinda ki, Gaura Premanandi. All glorious to the assembled devotees. All glorious to the assembled devotees. All glorious to the assembled devotees. Glorious to Shishi Guru and Gauranga. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, the withdrawal of the cosmic creations. Chapter 18, is it?
Yes.
Entitled Lord Vamanadev, the dwarf incarnation. Text number 13. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Tam vatam vamanam dristva.
Tam vatum vamanam drishva.
Modamana Maharshaya.
Modamana Mahashaya.
Karmani karyam asuhu.
Karmani karyam ashu.
Puraskritya prajapatim.
Puraskritya prajapatim.
Tam vatam vamanam dristva.
Tam vatam vamanam drishva.
Modamana Maharshaya.
Modamana Mahashaya.
Karmani karyam asuhu.
Karmani karyam ashu.
Puraskritya prajapatim.
Puraskritya prajapatim.
Tam vatum vamanam dristva.
Tam vatum vamanam drishva.
Modamana Maharshaya.
Modamana Mahashaya.
Karmani karyam asuhu.
Karmani karyam ashu.
Puraskritya prajapatim.
Puraskritya prajapatim.
Tam vatum vamanam drishtva.
Tam vatum vamanam drishva.
Mudamana mahashaya.
Modamana Mahashaya.
Karmani karayam asu.
Karmani karyam ashu.
Puraskritya prajapatim.
Puraskritya prajapatim. Tam vatum vamanam drishtva.
Vamanam dristva.
Modamana Mahashaya.
Modamana Mahashaya.
Karmani karyam asu.
Karmani karyam asu.
Puraskritya prajapatim.
Puraskritya prajapatim. Anybody else?
Tam vatum vamanam drishtra.
Tam vatum vamanam drishva.
Modamana mahashaya.
Modamana Mahashaya.
Karmani karyam ashuhu.
Karmani karyam ashu.
Puraskritya prajapatim.
Puraskritya prajapatim.
Tam vatum vamanam drishtra.
Tam vatum vamanam drishva.
Modamana mahashaya.
Modamana Mahashaya.
Karmani karyam ashuhu.
Karmani karyam ashu.
Puraskritya prajapatim.
Puraskritya prajapatim.
Tam
Tam
him, Patum, the brahmachari, Vamanam, dwarf, Drishtva, seeing, Modamanaha, in a happy mood, Maharshaya, great saintly persons, Karmani, ritualistic ceremonies, Karyamasuhu, performed, Puruskritya, keeping in front, Dapatim, Kasyapa Muni, the Prajapati. When the great sages saw the Lord as the brahmachari dwarf Vamana, they were certainly very pleased. Thus they placed before them Kasyapa Muni, the Prajapati, performed all the ritualistic ceremonies, such as the birthday ceremony. Please repeat. When the great sages saw the Lord as the brahmachari dwarf Vamana, they were certainly very pleased. Thus they placed before them Kashyapa Muni, the Prajapati, and performed all the ritualistic ceremonies, such as the birth ceremony. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. According to the Vedic civilization, when a child is born in the family of a Brahmana, the birthday ceremony known as Jata Karma is first performed, and then other ceremonies are also gradually performed. Now, when this Brahmana Rupa appeared in the form of a Bhatu, or Brahmachari, the sacred thread ceremony was also performed immediately. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Mudaleshmane Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharini Srimati Bhasitacharya Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Sadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Kalpatubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. So the Supreme Lord has appeared as Vamanadev, a dwarf brahmachari, as the son of Aditi. So basically the demigods were in anxiety because the demons had pleased their spiritual master, and thus Bali Maharaj had taken over the entire heavenly planet and relocated the demigods to other places. And Aditi, as the mother of the demigods, was in great anxiety. All her children were displaced, and thus the Lord appeared as her son. So the Vamana goes by different other names also. He's known as Upendra, because he's the younger brother of Indra. He is also known as Trivikram, because he took 3 great steps. So Krama is step, V means great, and Tri means 3. So Trivikram took 3 great steps. And of course Vamana, because he's a dwarf, very tiny brahmachari. But they're only apparently very tiny. He could expand himself greatly. So the sages are very pleased to see the Lord, because they know the great value of seeing the Lord. If you see the Lord, all your sinful activities finished. Just by seeing the Lord, you can attain perfection. If we're fortunate, we'll have a Ratha Yatra, and the Lord will go out on his chariot. Everyone who sees him will have the opportunity to become free from their karma. And also the Lord is very beautiful. Just seeing a beautiful person makes one happy. The Lord is the supreme beauty. And then the Lord always has a very auspicious mission. He wants to bless the devotees, and He wants to chastise the demonic miscreants. He wants to reestablish the principles of religion. So the sages are very anxious also that these three things happen. So they're very happy that the Lord has come to do His mission. So in the Vedic civilization, there's many samskars, or different ceremonies that people perform throughout their lives for the purpose of purification. Because we're actually in the material world, because we're impure, we have the impure desire to enjoy our senses unrestrictedly. Therefore we become very much entangled in this world. So there's different samskars at different stages of our development, and for purifying ourselves from material existence. Actually, this one can describe Krishna consciousness as a process of purification. Purification is promoted in Bhagavad Gita. There's a verse that goes, Hayena manasa buddhya kevala indriyarapi yogina karma kurvanti sangam chapa mashudaye, which says that yogis abandoning attachment act with body, mind, and even intelligence, body, mind, and even with the senses, only for the purpose of purification. Also when Krishna is describing the yoga system, how you sit on a seat that's not too high or too low. And, he says that you fix the mind at one point, and that the last line is Atma Yogam Vishuddhaye. One performs yoga for the purification of the Atma itself. So, of course, Lord Vamadeva is completely pure. He doesn't need any purification. But when the Lord comes in this world, He performs all the activities that a religious person would perform, because He wants to teach by His example how to be a religious person. So although He didn't have to go through all these rituals, He went through them anyway, just to show a good example. And Prabhupada in the purport mentions that the sacred thread ceremony was performed at the same time as the birth ceremony. So usually that's performed later on, but because Lord Vamadeva was fully qualified, he was qualified to have that ceremony immediately. Actually, in the history of ISKCON, there's sometimes Prabhupada would give first and second initiation immediately if the people were qualified, or even give first and second and sannyas immediately. So, Lord Vamadeva is supremely qualified, being the supreme person. So, I'm not one of these big Bhagavat speakers who can speak like hours on a teeny weeny purport. So, does anybody have any questions or comments? And if not, we can continue to read a few more verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Any questions or comments about anything in the purport, the verse, or in my brief commentary? So I'll read some more verses talking about the appearance of Lord Vamana. Tasyopani yamarasya savicham savicha bhavit prahaspatir brahmasutram mekalam kasyapodat. At the sacred ceremony of Vamanadeva, the sun god personally uttered the Gayatri mantra. Prahaspati, who is the spiritual master of the demigods, offered the sacred thread, and Kasyapa Muni offered a straw belt. So Kasyapa Muni is the father, actually, of Vamana. Basically, the Kasyapa had many wives.
Jai.
Kasyapa had many wives, as some of the people did then, and one of them was Aditi, who's the mother of demigods. And then there's Diti, who's the mother of the demons. So actually the demigods and demons are related as cousins, but the demons don't accept the personality of Godhead, whereas the demigods do. So the demigods are always in a severe situation because the Lord is inclined to protect them because they're inclined to follow Him. Continuing, Dadado Krishna Jinam Pamur Dandam Soma Vanaspati Kopina Shadanam Mata Tyo Shatram Jagata Pate. Mother Earth gave him a deer skin. Deer skins are considered useful for meditation. Krishna also mentions the deer skin in verse 6:12 of the Bhagavad Gita. You should sit on a deer skin. Apparently the deer skin keeps the snakes away. A lot of people don't know that. Subtle point. So Mother Earth gave him a deer skin. The demigod, the moon, who's the king of the forest, gave him a Brahmadanda, the rod of a brahmachari. So we know the sannyasis have rods. So apparently the brahmacharis also have rods. His mother, Aditi, gave him a cloth for underwear. How thoughtful. And the deity presiding over the heavenly kingdom offered him an umbrella. Continuing. Mandalum Vedagarbha Kushan Sapta Rashodadu Akshamalam Maharaja Sarasvatya Yatmana. O king, Lord Brahma offered a water pot to the inexhaustible Supreme Personality of Godhead. So now everyone has a water bottle. Formerly they had water pots. Because they didn't have drinking fountains everywhere. They had to carry the water from one stream to another stream, or one well to another well. So Brahma offered a water pot to the inexhaustible Supreme Personality of Godhead. 7 sages offered him kusha grass. That's also mentioned by Krishna. That one sits on kusha, a mat of kusha grass when he meditates. Mother Saraswati gave him a string of rudraksha beads. Tasmad upan nitaya aksharat patrikamadat bhiksham bhagavati sakshad madad ambikasati. When Vamadev had thus been given the sacred thread, Kuvera, the king of the Yakshas, offered him a pot for begging alms. So the treasurer of the demigods offers him a pot for begging alms. He has money on his mind, right? And Mother Bhagavati, the wife of Lord Shiva. So here we hear that Durga is also called Bhagavati. And most chaste mother of the entire universe, she's also called Sati, gave him his first alms. So Brahma Varcha Senaivam Sabam Sambhavito Vatu Rishigana Samjasam Atya Rochata Varisha. Having thus been welcomed by everyone, Lord Vamanadev, the best of the brahmacharis, exhibited his Brahman effulgence. Thus he surpassed in beauty that entire assembly, which was filled with great saintly brahmanas. So people who are highly enlightened spiritually, they have an effulgence. So there's all these very effulgent personalities in the assembly, illuminated by spiritual knowledge. They were all insignificant in comparison to the Supreme Personality of Godhead when he exhibited his Brahman effulgence. So it's described the Brahman effulgence of the Supreme Lord pervades everything in the universe, and it's the source of all illumination in the universe. The sun gets its light from the Brahman effulgence. So great was the beauty and effulgence of Lord Brahmana that everyone appeared diminished, because actually everyone is insignificant in comparison to the Supreme Lord. Continuing, Samidam ayitam panim kritva pari samuhanam hari stirya samam yarcha samadir ajuhodrijam. After Lord Sri Vamanadev set a sacrificial fire, he offered worship and performed a fire sacrifice on the sacrificial field. So like an ordinary kid can't start performing sacrifices on the day he's born, but Lord Vamana is not ordinary. He has full potencies even at his appearance, just like Lord Krishna did. Shuddhasa Medar Yajam Shuddhasa Medar Yajamana Urjitam Balim Pragunam Upakapitaistata Chagama Tachakila Sara Samvrishto Bharena Gamsana Mayam Pade Pade. The Lord heard that Bali Maharaj was performing Asvamedha sacrifices under the patronage of the Brahmanas belonging to the Bhrigu dynasty. The Supreme Lord, who is full in every respect, proceeded there to show his mercy to Bali Maharaj. By his weight, he pushed down the earth with every step. And so he's living up to his name, Trivikram. Right? He's just born and already he's pushing the earth down with each step. Purport. By his divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is Akila Sara Sambrita. In other words, he's the proprietor of everything essential in this material world. So Sara means cream, actually. Sara means cream. Which is the essence of the milk. So Sara is also used often to mean the essence. Thus, although the Lord was going to Bali Maharaj to beg something, he is always complete and has nothing to beg from anyone. Indeed, he is so powerful that in his full opulence, he pressed down the surface of the earth at every step. So many nice points Prabhupada makes in this very short purport. He is the proprietor of everything essential in this material world. So the main essential thing in this material world, actually there's a song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and the 8th line of the song says, "There's nothing of value in the 14 planetary systems except for the holy name." Because everything in this world is temporarily manifest. But the holy name is eternal. And because we're part and parcel, Krishna is eternal, and because we're part and parcel of Krishna, we're eternal. But in this material world, although we are eternal by nature, we're developing relationships with so many temporary things. And these things wear out. I had so my body was produced from the body of my mother. Right? So I had a relationship with my mother's body. She lived to be 99, and then the body was finished. We had to take her body to the cremation place and have it burned because it was no longer useful. It's like sometimes people get in a car accident and the car is completely finished, but they walk away unharmed. It happened to me. I was driving a car and I fell asleep. I ran into a utility pole. The car was finished, but I okay, and I went on Harinam the next day. So the death means, so in America when they say that when the car is damaged beyond repair, they say he totaled his car. Right? So death is when we total our body. Right? The body is so dysfunctional, the soul cannot live in it anymore, and the soul goes on. So my mother's body was totaled, but her soul went on. But I have no relationship with this body of my mother anymore. And we have a relationship with the soul of all beings because we're all brothers and sisters on the spiritual plane. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Aham bija pradhan pita. I'm the seed-giving father. So on the spiritual plane we have a relationship of brothers and sisters. But the relationships we have with the material bodies in this world, they have a beginning and an end because the bodies have a beginning and an end. Even our relationship with their own body has a beginning and an end. But there's one thing in this material world that's eternal, and that's the holy name of Krishna. And for Bhakti Yoga Thakur says, there's actually nothing of value in this world. Everything we try to look for happiness in relationship with in this world can only give us temporary happiness because it's only temporary. Whereas our relationship with the holy name can give us eternal happiness. Because Krishna is Satchit Ananda, he's eternal, full of bliss and knowledge. So simply by developing a relationship with him, we enjoy eternal bliss and knowledge. But by developing our relationship with the material things, we become despondent because we're all separated from them. It's a nice verse in the Bhagavad Gita. Ehi samsparsha bhoga dukkha yoni evate dvantavanta kontayana teshu ramate buddha 5:22. That says that the wise people, they don't delight in the pleasures of the senses which have a beginning and end. If they have a beginning and end, the wise man is not delighting them. So the essence, what's essential in this material world is the Supreme Lord who's maintaining the material world, our relationship with him, and the spiritual knowledge by which we can awaken that relationship. That is all essential. And when the Lord comes, he reestablishes religion so people can reconnect with him, have an eternal relationship. So all we're having is temporary relationships which aren't able to give ultimate satisfaction to our soul. So he's going to Bali to beg something. So basically his mission was to retrieve this kingdom that was stolen actually by military force. What happened was the demons, they pleased their guru, but the demigods, they actually offended their guru. So the demigods lost heaven, and the demons gained heaven. But the Lord doesn't want the demons in heaven, because they just cause trouble to everybody, including themselves. So he wanted to get the demons out. So he developed this strategy of going to Bali Maharaj, who had taken over heaven, and begging in charity to get it back. So, but already he's the proprietor of everything in this world. Actually, often we talk about performing sacrifice to please the Lord, or we say that we talk about giving up the fruits of our action to Krishna. But actually, Krishna is already the proprietor of everything. Basically, we've stolen it, we're giving it back to him. We're artificially claiming proprietorship over that which is already his. And when we perform sacrifice, we're admitting, actually, Krishna, this is yours, enjoy it. So he's already the undisputed proprietor of the three worlds, the upper, middle, and lower planets, but he's going to beg this charity. Bali Maharaj. So those are a few words about that very short purport. Does anybody have any questions or comments or realizations about any of these things we're talking about here? Yeah.
There was a mention of Brahmana rod, Brahman
Right.
rod, and you talked about sannyas rod. What is the significance of this Brahmana rod?
I'm not really sure, because it's not talked about very much. You can always ask Google. I don't know if Google would get this one right. Yeah, I could do a search on folio, but from my reading of Prabhupada's books, it doesn't come up very much, hardly at all. This might even be the only reference to the Brahmacharya's rod. Anything else? We'll continue reading then. Because we have to get our full hour of Bhagavad Gita, and otherwise we won't be completely purified. And the most purifying thing is just to read the verses anyway, because 100% chance they are pure, whereas whatever I say may not be on that same level. Tam namadayas tata. Tam namadayas tata udare baler ya ritvejaste brihukacha samgite pavartayanto brigava kratutamam yacha shatarat uditam ita parim. While engaged in performing the sacrifice in the field known as Brigakacha, on the northern bank of the Narmada River. We always pronounce it wrong, don't we? I'll say Narmada when it's not Narmada. The Narmada River. The rivers, by the way, are female, so they always end in a long vowel, either a long A or a long E. So this is the Narmada River. The Brahminical priests, the descendants of Bhrigu, saw Vamanadev to be like the sun rising nearby. So he saw effulgence, he was like lighting up the whole place. Therefore, he had to manifest his Brahman effulgence to get their attention. Tagravijo yajamana sadasya hata tvisha pamana teja sanripa Traya kilaya tuta va vipavasu sanat kumarota didikshaya kato. O king, because of Vamanadev's bright effulgence, the priests, along with Bali Maharaj and all the members of the assembly, were robbed of their splendor. So, when the Lord isn't around, other people appear to have some opulence. But Krishna's opulence is so much greater than everyone else's. When he's, everyone's realized to be small time. Actually, we're very insignificant. We're just 1/10,000th the tip of a hair buried in this hunk of flesh. On this planet, there's 7 billion people or so, right? And we're only one person. One time in Berlin at Alexanderplatz, someone was saying he didn't like our chanting and he wanted us to stop. So I said, well, there's 7 billion people on this planet. Everyone has their own opinion, and you're one of them. You want us to stop. Do you think that's enough reason that we stop? These people over there, they're enjoying listening to us, So it's not that everyone thinks we should stop. Then I turned to join the party, and he punched me in the head because I insulted him by reminding him that he was only 1 out of 7 billion people on the planet. And his opinion didn't count very much.
Where was that?
Alexanderplatz, Berlin, Germany. So, people are very proud. I was singing in Brighton, right? I had a nice amplifier, so it was really filling up the air. But this one person was accusing me of being cruel because I was forcing everyone to listen to this. And he said, nobody wants to hear your music, get out of here. So I've been singing in the same place for a while. I thought, well, maybe I'll go to another place so I don't have to contend with this guy. And I was sitting in front of a shop, So the person came out of the shop and they gave me a donation. So this one guy thinks because he hates it, everyone in the town of Brighton hates it, But he's just one guy with an opinion. And the person whose shop I was singing in front of, they liked it and gave me a donation. So. But we're actually all insignificant, and our opinion is insignificant. But the significant thing about our opinion is if our opinion agrees with Krishna, then we're going to end up in the spiritual world. And if our opinion disagrees with Krishna, we're going to stay here. So although we're insignificant, our opinion matters. We actually believe that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the best thing he can do is perform devotional service. Our little insignificant opinion will take us back to Godhead. So all these people were reminded of their insignificance, and the supremely radiant personality of Godhead appeared in their midst. Thus they began to ask one another whether the sun god himself, Sanat Kumar, or the fire god had personally come to see the sacrificial ceremony. Maybe because they were demons, they didn't think they were pious enough that the Supreme Lord himself would come. I don't know. Itam sashisheshu pragusha anekakara itak yamano bhagavansa vamanam. Actually, it's not right. Itam sashishu pragusha Nekakara Vitar Dayamana Bhagavan Sabhamana Chacham Santandam Shajavam Kamandalam Vishesh Vibhad Daya Vedavatam. Well, the priests of the Bhrigu dynasty and their disciples talked and argued in various ways. Because they don't actually know, all they can do is speculate. One guy speculates this, another guy speculates that, and they argue. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vamana, holding in his hands the rod, the umbrella, and the water pot full of water, entered the arena of the Ashwamedha sacrifice. Let's see. Unja Mikalaya Vitam Upavita Jinotaram Chatilam Vamanam Vipram Maya Manava Kamharim Pravishtam Diksha Bhargava Shashishas Te Sahag Nidhi Patyagranam Samudhaya Sankshiptas Tejasa. Appearing as a Brahmana boy, wearing a belt of straw, a sacred thread, an upper garment of deerskin, and matted locks of hair, Lord Vamanadev entered the arena of sacrifice. His brilliant effulgence diminished the brilliance of all the priests and their disciples, who thus stood from their seats and welcomed the Lord properly by offering obeisances. Sort of reminds us of like when Lord Chaitanya entered the assembly of the Mayavadis, manifested a brilliant effulgence. And because they were into Brahman, they were like really impressed, and they offered him all respect. So the Vamana, he wanted to benefit the people, so he appeared in such a way that they would be inclined to offer him respect, because the Supreme Lord is respectable by everyone, and if people offer him respect, they advance in devotional service, because one of the four things Krishna tells us to do is offer him respect. He says, Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Namaskuru means offer respect. He wants us to do four things. He wants us to think of him, manmana. He wants us to become his devotee, bhava madbhakto. And he wants us to offer homage and glorification of him, madhyaji, sacrifice also. And then namaskuru, offer obeisances. So he's collecting the obeisances of the members of the assembly by making it clear to them that he's in a superior position, by manifesting this incredible, brilliant intelligence. Balimar is jubilant at seeing Lord Vamanadeva, whose bodily limbs contributed equally to the beauty of his entire body, offered him a seat with great satisfaction. So the beauty is one of the characteristics of the Vamana incarnation. Also, of course, Mohini Murti is also beautiful, and Lord Balaram. Those different incarnations manifest especially the beauty of the Lord. You don't really hear that Parshuram or Lord Nrsimha manifest his beauty. So Vamana, Balaram, Mohini Murti, they manifest the beauty of the Lord. Svagatena binanyata pado bhagavato bali avani charcharyam asa mukta sangha manorat ramam. Thus offering proper reception to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is always beautiful to the liberated souls, Bali Maharaj worshipped him by washing his lotus feet. So that's an interesting point, that the Lord is always beautiful to the liberated souls. So, although we sometimes people ask us what the name Krishna means, and Prabhupada said, Krishna means all attractive. Right? So if Krishna is all attractive, right, then why aren't millions of people coming to Sarsala to see Krishna? Because they're in Maya. Because they're not liberated souls. They don't see Krishna as all attractive. They see Maya as more attractive than Krishna. But actually Krishna is more attractive than Maya. But when we're in illusion by Maya, we think that Maya is more attractive than Krishna. So so Krishna's beauty of Krishna appears greater or lesser according to our devotion. And therefore the gopis, who are like the greatest devotees of Krishna, they appreciated his beauty more than anyone else. So that said, the gopis, they wanted to curse the creator Brahma for creating eyes that blinked, because during the duration of time that their eyes were blinking, they couldn't see the beauty of Krishna. So we've never seen anyone who is so beautiful that we are lamenting that our eyes blinked, right? There's many rock stars and movie stars people think are very beautiful, but none of them, you never hear of them, their beauty praised, that it's so great that we couldn't tolerate the blinking of our eyes, right? It's not there. There's an interesting story one devotee told of. There's one pujari, he was putting the deities to rest, and he noticed that the Mangalarati sweets weren't in the refrigerator. So he was a very surrendered soul, so he thought, oh, the Lord has no Mangalarati sweets, then I'll have to make them. So he spent like 3 or 4 hours making these Mangalaretis, boiling the burfi down, curdling the milk with a sandesh, and rolling it out, mixing it with it. So he must have stayed up to like 1 or 2. So then he went to bed, and the next time he came to see the deity, right, the deity looked more beautiful than he'd ever seen in his whole life. And he realized that the deity was reciprocating the fact that he stayed up all night making those sweets. So we can become inspired that the Krishna's beauty will increase as our devotion increases. It's already unlimited, but our perception of it's limited. But the more we perform the devotional service. There's a beautiful verse that I'd like to quote. Ata Shri Krishna Nama Dina Baba Trainam Endriyai Seva Mukhi Jivado Spiveva Spratyada. Any of you great Bhakti Shastri students know that verse? Know that verse? What's it mean?
By the material senses, blunt material senses, we cannot approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Through Sevan Mukhe Jiva, by service,
Beginning with the tongue, right?
Tongue.
Shivado, beginning with the tongue. Our senses become purified and we can perceive. So sometimes, so we can explain this social service very simply. We just engage our tongue in Krishna's service by doing two things. We chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We engage our tongue in tasting the prasadam that's been offered to the Lord, which we'll do in 5 minutes when the class ends. So, because by these things our senses become purified and the unlimited beauty of the Supreme Lord will become more and more perceivable to us. The more we chant Hare Krishna, the more we take prasadam. Therefore we always tell people to take prasadam to their full satisfaction. And we always tell people to chant Hare Krishna as much as possible, because then they'll become purified and the reality of the beauty of Krishna will be experienced by them. Everyone, because we're all part and parcel of Krishna, we all have the opportunity to be as captivated by the beauty of Krishna as the gopis are. You can pray to the gopis also. Please bless us that we may be captivated by the beauty of Krishna instead of being captivated by the beauty of Maya. I was just in Mayapur. Mayapur is very festive because not only is there Radha and Madhava, but there's the Astasaki, the 8 associates of Radha and Krishna. And they all look completely blissed out because they're having such a good time serving Radha and Madhava. It's a very wonderful temple. It's my favorite darshan. So the gopis are very blissed out because they're enjoying their service to Radha and Madhava. So the more we perform the devotional service, the more we will appreciate the reality of the beauty of Krishna. Actually, just the name of Krishna, the form of Krishna, the pastimes of Krishna, qualities of Krishna are all very beautiful and captivating. And the more we perform devotional service, the more we'll be captivated. Because there's 9 stages in the development of the devotional service. And the one after Nishta is Ruchi. So once we become steady in devotional service, then we'll acquire the real taste. We may have some initial attraction to devotional service, but that's not Ruchi, that's not the real taste. The real taste comes after Nishta, after we're steady and our anartas have been greatly diminished, so we can always perform the devotional service. Then we acquire the taste. And because it's very enjoyable, we become attached to Sakti. And then we continue performing more devotional service, more and more devotional service, and then we attain bhava, the preliminary stage of love of God, and then we attain prema. So we have to push ourselves in the beginning to keep ourselves engaged, because in the beginning, Maya seems more attractive than Krishna. But once we get to Ruchi, Krishna is more attractive than Maya. Therefore, it's all downhill. So we have to really push till we get to Nishta, and then it's all downhill. The Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that at Nishta, the pull of the material and the spiritual energies is equal. Before then, the Maya is pulling us down, and after then, Krishna is pulling us forward. And then at Nishta, it's equal. So we have to work really hard in the beginning until we get to Nishta. It's all downhill. Krishna's beauty is captivating our mind more and more. We just want to perform more and more devotional service. So we have actually, that clock's wrong. It's 9 o'clock now. So thank you for your time. The next part of our program is Bhagavat Prasad. So enjoy engaging your tongue in Krishna's service and thus purifying yourself, so you'll be able to appreciate the unlimited beauty of Krishna. Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
His Grace Krishna Kripa Prabhu Ki Jai.
Samaveda Bhakti Ki Jai. Bhagavat Prasad Ki Jai.
What is the color?